So last week we finished up our study guide. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Is that easy for everybody to read? Does that look good for everyone?
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. So we finished our study guide. I'm actually going to send it in the chat to everyone so everybody can have the study guide for this class because you will need it. Well, maybe, unless you've memorized it all already, which is also awesome. And then after today and after this class, this study guide will be up everywhere. It'll be up on the website. It'll be up on the main page, Divination, the main Divination page on Facebook. It'll be up in our private Facebook group, the chat, your mentorship groups, anywhere, the chat. I'll post it everywhere just so that everybody has access. If you would like to study and practice on your friends and practice on each other, you can even use your mentorship group if you don't have any friends that are open to this kind of thing. That is one of the things your mentorship group is for, or even just the main chat is for, and for what our community is for. If you would like to give random readings to people, I'm sure so many people in your mentorship groups and in Divination would love to just get free dice readings from you. So if you'd like to practice, please feel free to use our community. That's one of the things it's there for. So right now I'm going to give everybody just a couple minutes to go over the study guide because we are going to jump in to giving readings and practicing for a good portion of the class. We're going to do some other things during this class as well. We've got a couple things planned, but a big portion of this class is going to be learning different spreads, so different dice spreads, and also practicing using those spreads. So I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to go over the study guide that I sent to all of you. And then once you've done that, I'm just going to pick two random people to give each other readings. There's only a few of us today, so that makes it really easy. That means everybody will get the chance to not only receive a reading, but also to give a reading. And I will also be participating as well. So you guys will get readings from me. And you also get to give me a reading. So please take a few minutes to go over the study guide. And then I'll separate everybody into groups.
How can we print this off?
So if you just pull it up on a computer, you can print it. So what I would do is if you're using a phone right now, click
No,
on the link and open it and then email it to yourself and then you can print it.
I don't have a phone that would work.
Okay. What are you using right now for the class?
For the class is my computer.
Oh, perfect. So you can just click on the link using your computer and then email it to yourself. You could also save it to Google Drive, but if you don't know how to do that, that's totally cool. Just email it to yourself.
Okay. When I'm going to do this, I'm going to lose my position here. I'll have to log on, log off again.
Oh, it's okay. I can also just send you the link in a
Oh,
private message. That's fine too.
yeah, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
perfect. I'll do that now while you guys are going through it. Oh my gosh. I was just talking for like so long. And I did not realize I was on mute. Wow. Okay. Wow. Cheese. Okay. Okay. Where did I leave off? Let me start again. Okay. Wow. So, thank you so much, Andrea, for telling me that I wasn't there. I would have just kept going and been like, I guess nobody's answering me. Jeez. Hi. Okay. So, the outline and diagram that I did here. You're going to have 3 D10s in this spread. The first D10, a D10 means a dice with 10 sides and 10 numbers on it. The first die is your past and how your past is going to affect your present. The second die is your present and how your present is going to affect your future. The third die is your future and how your future is going to affect your further future. And so let me explain that in a little bit more detail. So the first die is going to explain you as a person and everything you've been through in the past, what your personality traits have been, what actions you've taken, what emotional things that you have been through, what choices you have made, what paths you have followed. And it is going to explain how all of that is going to affect your present, how all of that has led to your present, what paths you took to get you to your present, what mistakes you made that led you to the present that you're in, what amazing, wonderful choices you made that led you to the amazing, wonderful present that you have today. And the next die is the present that you are living in right now. This die is going to explain everything you are going through right in this very moment. All of the personality traits that you have right now, who you are as a person, what your values and morals are, what your empathy is like, who you have become, what paths you took to get there. And then it is going to explain how all of those paths and all of the things you are doing right now in the present, how those are going to lead you to the future and what your future is going to look like because of the decisions and choices and paths that you took in your present right now. And then the next die is going to focus on that future. What the future holds, what paths you took, what your future looks like, what your everything looks like, what your career looks like, what your love life looks like, where you're at emotionally, where your mental health is at, where you are at intellectually, how you feel about your growth and knowledge and wisdom, and how that is going to affect the paths that you take further down in the future and what the much further future has to offer, and all the choices and decisions that you made throughout your past and present and future, and where that is going to lead you in life. And this reading goes about 5 years into the future. So we're not talking super, super future. We're talking about 5 years into the future. So, does anybody have any questions about that and how that works? And I'm so sorry I was on mute for so long.
No, it seems to be okay, but there's a lot of questions that gotta get answered, and I don't remember all of them.
Yes, it is a very intense spread. And I think a lot of people think of the 3 dice spread as the easy one. Same thing with tarot, same thing with runes. People always assume that less is easier. Less cards, less dice are easier. In my opinion, it's not always easier because you only have 3 dice to work with. So 1 die is telling you so much information. And in this first die, it's not just, oh, let's say you get an 8. You can't just say your past included a lot of connection. That doesn't tell you everything that you need to know. You have to dive really deep into understanding that number. That's why we gave a huge, gigantic list of examples in our study guide. There is a lot that you have to say with only one number, and a lot of information that you have to get with only one number. And then when you get better at this spread, you can start looking at the numbers next to each other because you know. So if there's an 8 next to a 5, you can assume that those connections that they made in their past led to the chaos of their present. And you can put those numbers together and really start to figure out what connection next to chaos means to you. And put the 8 and the 5 together and think about what they mean together and next to each other. What does it mean to go from an 8 in your past to a 5 in your present? And what is all the mushy stuff in the middle? How did you get from an 8 to a 5? And really being able to understand what it means to go from an 8 to a 5. And so that's what we're really going to focus on with this 3 dice spread, is learning what all the stuff in the middle is. What does it mean to go from an 8 to a 5 and then to a 10? What does that really mean? Instead of reading all the numbers separately, we can start with reading all the numbers separately and then really start to focus on reading all of the numbers together, what they mean next to each other, and how it changes the reading if an 8 is next to a 5 rather than an 8 being next to a 1, or a 7 being next to a 4 rather than a 7 being next to a 3, and what that means and how it completely changes the entire meaning of both the past and the present. So, does anybody have any questions about that before we get started?
No questions for me. I'm just nervous as usual, but you know, we'll do this.
You're gonna do amazing. Don't worry.
If I'm off, it's because I've been sick for the past 3 days and I'm still sick today. So,
Oh no, oh, I'm so sorry you've been sick.
oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I hope you feel better soon.
I hope so too. It just seems to drag on. But anyways,
So we're gonna start with, let's start with Melissa giving the reading. And Melissa, you're going to read me. And then next we will have Andrea read Melissa.
Can Andrea read? How is Andrea, not to be nosy, but how's she doing it?
It depends. Andrea, did you want, last time I think I rolled the dice for you, right?
yeah, I'll need you to roll the dice for me again because I don't have it here.
Okay, and then also Andrea, if you're being the reader, then whoever you're reading, like if you're reading Melissa,
Yeah.
just put your numbers into the chat, and then Melissa will just read the numbers in the chat.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And then yeah, so since Melissa is reading me, I will start off with rolling 3 dice.
Oh.
And then I'll put those numbers into the chat. And then Melissa, you'll give me a reading and just follow. If you have any questions while you're giving the reading, that is totally fine. And we can kind of go through it together. And if not, feel free to just read however you would like to. So let me see. Let me roll my dice. Okay. And go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
All right. 3. So I'm gonna go with what I first got with before I started reading the words that on the document. Um, so then when I started reading, I was like, oh shit, let me just go back because to my initial sort of thought. So if I'm taking 7 as your past and how it sort of reflects to your more recent past, I want to ask you a question and say, are you the type of person that always feels like you are working or expanding on an idea, on something? You're constantly in repetition, your mind is spinning new ideas, spinning new projects. And yeah, I'll wait for the answer.
Yes.
Okay. And so that leads me to, okay, so you're spinning new ideas, you're constantly thinking, and I don't know how that relates to your past, and I can just assume or sort of intuitively imagine, if you will, that maybe things for you in your further past may have been, I want to say, if I dare say, perhaps unstable, or perhaps you never know what was going to happen on a day to day. So you had to kind of put this sort of hat on that you are always ready for something to happen. You have to have a plan. You have to just be imaginative and creative as to how best to solve your dilemma. And how that relates to a 3, where I'm seeing like, oh great, you've come to this really, really awesome decision and this awesome sort of collaboration, if you will, with others. And that perhaps was a wonderful ending, or not ending, but sort of goal or something that you've achieved, but it's kind of led you into down the rabbit hole of more work. It could be gratifying, but it also could be extremely stressful. And I'm thinking of divination. I'm thinking of how much you love it. I'm thinking of how much you really enjoy helping people have or gain access to magic and information and spirituality. But know that with all of that sort of responsibility, it can weigh a person down, because you feel like almost like it's your dream. Yeah, so many people come and want to collab with me, but at the end of the day, it's still me. And that's a lot of pressure. And I feel that for you. So that's what I have.
Wow. That was amazing. That was so good. That was
Cool.
so spot on and so perfect. And not only just spot on and perfect too, because you used information that you already know about me, but also you read the numbers perfectly. That's like, I don't even have anything that I would fill in or add. That was so good.
Awesome.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm glad it worked.
That was amazing. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, that was really good. Robin's right. Yeah. That was amazing. Awesome. Okay, cool. So next up we have Andrea will be reading Melissa. And so Melissa will roll her 3 dice and then put them into the chat.
Oh Lord. All right.
Oh wow.
That's why I said, oh Lord. Huh.
Oh geez. Okay, so Andrea, whenever you are ready, you can begin her reading.
Okay, I was on mute there for a second. It seems like you've had your past in a bit of chaos situation. a little disorganized, um, feeling overwhelming feelings about concerning your mind and body. Um, Possibly you've had insomnia, overworking yourself, inability to relax. This is some extraordinary things are going to happen that has happened in the past, but you're working towards accomplishing a goal to better yourself. To improve your mental and physical health. And this is leading on to the 3. It's in a group. It's in a group situation. If you had to make decisions, you need to make them now. You're on your way to accomplishing your goal. Whether your success is emotional, physical, analytical, and it's placed you in a specific path in life. So you're working with someone else on this, what you're doing right now. And then going back to the 5 again is basically what I said at the beginning. The future looks a little bit chaotic. Feeling overwhelmed again. Whether you've got anxiety, you can't relax, or you're spreading yourself too thin, so you're doing too much. It's a time where it can lead to extraordinary things. And you're putting work into a goal to better yourself. But this would be a good time to start working on improving your mental and physical health to relieve the chaos in your situation in the future. And that's my reading, and I use the cheat sheets because I don't know it well enough to give an automatic reading.
Andrea, that was great though. That was really good. Yep. I can't disagree with anything you said.
That's amazing because the numbers that came up is a little bit surprising, and yet what I'm saying is confirming the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Oops, what the hell happened? Okay. I thought I lost you, but yeah, good job. Thank you.
No, yeah, that was really good, Andrea. I loved that reading. That was awesome. You did a really good job. I would say,
You're welcome, both of
yeah.
you.
So I would say that with something like this, number one, I want to start this off by saying there is nothing that I would change about your reading. I think you gave an amazing reading. And every single reader is going to read slightly different. So I was just going to kind of throw in some things that I would add if I was the reader, but that isn't anyway. So one thing that I always really find interesting when you see something like a 3 in between 2 5s, it really shows off that somebody thrives in chaos. So a lot of people, when they read 2 5s next to a 3, they assume that somebody is trying to work on the chaos to get the chaos to go away. to fix the chaos, to work on themselves and to work on their life and work on making things a little bit more stable. But realistically, normally, whenever I see a 3 between two fives, usually it means more of that person is not trying to change the chaos. That person thrives in chaos. That person has had chaos since they were little. They've had chaos since they were a teenager. They have learned to adapt in the chaos and they thrive in it. They are no longer trying to change it. They are rolling with it, and they are, instead of trying to challenge it, they are basking in the excitement that is their chaotic life. And I think that that is so interesting, and I love people like that. And so I really just wanted to throw that in there. Having a 3 in between two fives is such a special person who has really learned to be somebody who others can rely on in very chaotic situations, because they have learned to embrace and thrive in chaos.
Damn, Skippy, you got that right. Yes, my whole life, girl, from a baby to, and when you said thrive, I was kind of fighting with that word because I was like, thrive. Do I thrive? Because I in my sort of like I was rationalizing and going, I hate chaos, but you know what? You're right, because I feel like I'm at my best. I know, yeah, I know what to do. I'd probably be a great ER person. I dislike having so much chaos, but I feel like, you know, what's the analogy about a diamond and a coal and all that mumbo jumbo? You get me. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like I feel like I do really good things in chaos. So yeah, I've changed my life like so many times, constantly adapting. And yeah, I've only done that when it's chaotic, when it's stressful, and there's pressure and all that stuff. So yes, thank you.
Yes. And though, like you said, it's not something that people always like, because obviously, I mean, having things be extremely stressful and chaotic is usually never something that's super pleasurable. But it takes a very special person to be able to adapt to that and to be somebody others can rely on in the chaos, because they have learned how to embrace it and to do incredible things despite the chaos.
I just wanted to ask you, Melissa. Is it Melissa? I'm sorry.
Yep, Melissa. I know I have
Uh,
ML. Sorry about that. It's Melissa.
no, that's okay. It's just put a blank to my mind right now because of this headache I got. Um, would you be willing to share what your zodiac sign is?
Oh, take a guess on the one that gets beat up a lot.
Hmm.
Come
Are you a
on, let me
Gemini
see.
or a Scorpio?
Neither.
Really?
Think
No, I didn't
Earth.
think it was that.
Oh, I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn.
Oh, that is the other one that gets beat up a
Yeah,
lot. You're right. I forgot about that.
you said beat up a lot. My ass was like Scorpio.
Me too. That's what
Everyone picks on the poor Scorpios.
Oh,
My ex was a Capricorn, and he got beat up a lot as a kid.
yeah.
Hmm.
I hope he wasn't mean to you, because that's something that we can do. We're definitely hardcore when we want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that honestly, that was a really good question, Andrea, because not only did Melissa's reading very much match the life of a Capricorn, a stereotypical, obviously, there
Yeah.
are many different ways to interpret Capricorn, but a very stereotypical Capricorn definitely correlates with a 5. For sure. And a 3 in between two fives, for sure. And same with the reading that I got, and the way, especially the way that Melissa read it, I think would correlate very well with the Sagittarius, which is what I am. So That makes a lot of sense.
So that means your sun is on your midheaven?
Yes.
Didn't you? Okay, because I remember you said that you were Sagittarius midheaven. That made so much sense for me. But that's
Yep.
cool. So you're
Thank
born
you.
for this, Tika. You're born for this. Teaching stuff.
I was, but I'm also so insanely just busy. Like, I don't know. I do this thing just like you said. I mean, you said it in your reading very, very well. But I always am trying to do so many things that I can never actually sit down and focus on the thing that I am trying to do because I'm trying to do too many things all the time. And even though I know that and I know how to fix it, I just don't. And I really need to work on that.
Mm. I think for me, if I were to read into that, I would say that that has to do with freedom. Because if you're trapped into some, and your mind's eye might go, "Ooh, this feels like like is bearing weight on me and my creativity." Because sometimes it can be when you try to restrict it by getting into a regimen of like, you know, oh, let's write a journal, oh, let's do the talking voice clip journal thing. It gets to be almost like restrictive on your creativity and can feel like way down. So like I understand like why you wouldn't do that, but maybe if you had like a partner or like a co-creator or something like that that had more of like earth in their chart, they could do that for you. I think that would help.
It does. I do have, as I'm sure you guys have all seen, anybody who is even slightly active in the divination chat has seen my beautiful, amazing co-host Kelsey, who does all of the things while I sit behind the scenes and come up with new ideas every day.
There you go.
So,
oh yeah, she's a Virgo. That's right.
Yes,
yeah, perfect.
So Kelsey is amazing, and I don't know where we would be without Kelsey. She is the best, and I love her very much. And yes, and yeah, exactly like you said. I think sometimes Sagittarius, especially because I have so much Sagittarius in my chart, my chart is like the shining Sagittarius. In so it's crazy. And I think that sometimes I have these big, beautiful ideas, such as the Academy and wanting to do this, getting very, very excited about wanting to do this, and then realizing that I just gave myself a new job. And that now I have 2 jobs and I have more work that I just put on myself. And at first it's really fun, and then it becomes like a chore. So I have to do all these things to make sure it's fun.
Right. Yep.
Got to make a
delegation, delegation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also too, I don't want to put too much work on other people either. And so it becomes this whole thing. But no, thank you very much. And I love that we have so many wonderful people who help this academy while I sometimes end up doing way too many things and I'm off in a different world. So next, and I'm pretty sure, Robin, you said, right, that you are here to chill and observe and not give a reading, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have dice on me. I don't have any of my notes. I'm sitting in the middle of work, cleaning and listening to this class.
Awesome. No, that is totally cool.
Yeah, no, otherwise, this was a class that I was going to steadily, and then work was like, hey, you're 1 to 10 now. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know, I miss you. Well, okay. So then next, let's see. So we had Melissa got a reading, Andrea. Okay, cool. So that leaves, let's do Melissa will give Andrea a reading, and then I'll do a reading on the next spread. So we'll continue with the 3 spread, and then I'll give a reading. I want a lot of this to be dedicated to you guys getting to practice, but I know it's fun to get a reading. And I want to make sure that I, at least, even if I can just give you guys some different insight on the numbers and how to read them next to each other. So I want to definitely give a reading too, even just for an example. So anyway, let's have Melissa give Andrea a reading. So Andrea, did you want me to roll the dice for you?
Yes, impartial, yes.
Awesome. Okay, I will roll the dice for you. I'll put the numbers in the chat, and then Melissa can go ahead and give you a reading. Getting a lot of fives tonight. But okay, Melissa, you can go ahead when you are ready.
Oh, there we go. I was like, where's the fives? 5, 10. Hmm.
Do we need to change the numbers?
No, sorry, I was deep in thought on this one because my mind was going towards a relationship, was going towards, like, I feel like, and that's where my mind was going, was that your sort of beginning was with maybe you, oh boy, I don't know if I want to say it. I want to talk about maybe the relationship with your ex-husband. Maybe you started off the relationship with sort of like, maybe you got pregnant before getting married type situation. Can you help me out? Yes or no?
No, I got married at 19 and I had my first child at 21.
Okay. All right. So that I was feeling something happened when you were young, and I didn't know if you got married because the baby came or you just got married really young. So getting married really young before you really had a chance to really develop and sort of maybe understand yourself or create an identity for yourself. And perhaps this identity that you created was around your husband and your husband's life. Totally speculative. So I will start with just the beginning of your life, or beginning, yeah, of your life. Maybe as a child or a teen, or prior to that, maybe, I don't know, maybe identity was tough for you. And I don't know, maybe you thought that getting married and having this life was something maybe you were told to do, maybe you were escaping something, maybe. Anyway, so let's just stay focused on that. You got married young. That's the life sort of you created. And in this marriage, then created a lot of sort of things you had to deal with. Maybe it felt like on your own. And that means your marriage. Maybe that means raising of children. Maybe that means sort of like maybe you were left in the dark about the finances. Maybe you were just, I feel like I'm really wrong, but I'm just gonna go with it. And you maybe felt like this was it for you and this is what your life was. And I'm sorry, this is so wrong.
Nothing's ever
and
wrong.
no, I just feel like I'm pulling it way out of my ass, but like just bear with me. I'm so sorry if I get it wrong. Anyway, so the 10 is um you feeling like this relationship or this marriage was your life and this was it. You've gained something. This is the story of Andrea. And I feel like perhaps it still is your story. And maybe now you are in the space to re-examine who Andrea is and really be free in that sense, be free from that old story to create a new one. That's what I got.
That was pretty good, Melissa.
Was it? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's pretty darn good. Like I say, I got married at 19, had my first child at 21. And losing my identity during the marriage, it was a lot of chaos in the marriage, like a lot of abuse. And once I left, I have found myself again, and I'm happy with myself. And so things are moving in the direction where I want to go.
Good. Excellent. I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
I really am. I can relate. So
No, that was so good. And I love how, because this definitely happens to me. And I love that this is kind of something that we can discuss and talk about in class because it happened. But sometimes I see a group of numbers, especially because in dice reading, all we get is a number. Whereas with tarot and other things, sometimes you have so much more to work with. You have the element and the artwork and kind of this whole picture of things that you can pull from and draw. And sometimes when I'm giving a dice reading, I'll get this image in my head of what I think that the numbers mean all together. But as it's coming out of my mouth, I'm like, this just doesn't sound right. The numbers aren't really showing me anything. I feel as though I'm just not saying anything that actually makes any sense. And really, I love how you just kept rolling with it, because that is typically what I just do. I'm like, you know what? This is what came to me. This is what my intuition told me. This is what the numbers screamed at me when I first saw them. And so I'm just going to roll with it, even though it doesn't make much sense, because you're giving a reading to somebody else. And though in your mind, it might not make much sense, or in your mind, it might feel wrong, or like you're not really reading the numbers correctly. But your first instinct and the intuition that you get from reading the numbers and from knowing and understanding the meanings and symbology behind the numbers is probably correct. Your first thought is probably right. And rolling with it, even though it might feel wrong as it's coming out of your mouth, is usually the right thing to do. And I love that you did that. And it turned out fabulous and beautiful and definitely pertained a lot to Andrea's life.
yes. And what I was saying, I was like, 'cause I was checking in a lot with her, going, "Is this right? Is this right? Am I not?" It was mostly because I can't see faces, right? So if this was in person, I would be looking at the face, going, "Oh, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe I." But even still, to your point, like sometimes they could be given faces, and the reading is still correct. So there's that.
Definitely. And the funny thing is too, I mean, and I know that this is this is only going to happen if you ever like decide to become a professional reader, which I have been for many years at many different festivals and bookstores and coffee shops and all of that. Is one of the biggest customers that I got was people who are purposely trying to prove that you're fake, that you don't know what you're doing, and they're giving you money to purposely attempt at proving that this is a scam or that this is untrue or that they're skeptical and they don't believe you. So they'll either do things like giving you bad faces, even though you are totally saying the correct things, or they'll just say nothing. They won't answer your questions. They'll keep a blank, straight face because they are attempting to see what you can do without having any expression, because they think that you're reading their expression and their body language rather than the numbers, which is, really kind of crappy of them. But it will be something that you see a lot. And so it's really great to just go with your intuition like you did.
Melissa, can you see me now? I've got my video going.
I'm not sure how well, like I'm on my phone, but I'm not sure how well video shows when we have a screen being shared. That's the word.
Yeah,
Oh,
it might be because I
okay.
have my screen shared and a whiteboard up. But once I turn that off, she'll be able to see you.
Okay. I'll come back again.
Okay, awesome. So we did the three. Now we're going to come back to the three. This was just an introduction to the three. We've done an introduction to the three in one other class as well. But I wanted to introduce it a couple times just so you got the spread down. The reason we're going to come back to it is because something we have not touched on yet that we are going to get to now in the next spread is reverse numbers, inverse numbers. And we are going to create an entirely new study guide. We are going to have two. The one we just created was for right side up numbers. And then of course we put a little excerpt at the bottom about like what it means if it's imbalanced and inverted. But we didn't go deep into the real imbalanced meaning of each number. So we're going to play with that a little bit tonight and introduce that tonight before we start to create that study guide. Yes, the inverse meaning. I know.
You would go over inverse the day I don't have the ability to take notes.
I know. I'm sorry.
I can't blame you. I just think it's funny. The one day I can't take notes, it's a class that I actually haven't been to.
I know. I'm sorry.
You have a notepad on your phone.
I have a thumb drive at my house that has all my notes on it. One of my coworkers is just sitting back here listening.
Well, you will have the study guide. I will type it all out. Next class is what will be. We will start a new study guide with all kinds of fun practicing. There's a lot more to this class. So,
oh yeah.
The next thing we are going to do now is the only way, obviously, that you're going to be able to do this for real. Oh, well, Melissa has dice and I have dice, so I can roll for Andrea. So never mind, we got this. Okay, so we are going to play with a board. And this is going to give us so much more information and it's going to be so much fun. So if you can, Andrea, you won't need to because I'm rolling the dice for you. So I will just do this part for you when you get your reading. But if Melissa, if you have the ability, or Robin, if you want to play too, if you can, go get a pen and paper or just something to write on and something to write with. You can even just pull up notes on your phone. That works too. Although actually, just kidding, it might be hard to roll dice on your phone. So just kidding, a paper would work better because you're going to be rolling dice onto this board that we're going to make really quickly. And we are going to start learning about dice boards, which dice boards are so much fun. They're my favorite part about dice reading. And they're my favorite part about dice reading because you can be so creative with them. It is so much different than a runes board. And for anybody who knows what a runes board is an ancient Scandinavian tool that was used in ancient Norse culture to read bones and to read rune stones. And when you are reading runes, the rune board, because it is a cultural tool. It is a tool that is dedicated to one specific culture, that if you were to be extremely creative with it and you were to change it too much, you wouldn't be using a runes board anymore. And some people might consider it cultural appropriation if you are kind of taking something from an ancient indigenous culture and changing it too much and kind of calling it your own and claiming ownership over it. You kind of veer into the land of cultural appropriation. Whereas dice boards were used all over the world by thousands of cultures across Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, Central America. They were used all over the place. So, and not only that, but it is an open practice that has no ties to indigenous spirituality. So you can do whatever you want with it. You can have fun with it. Yes, it does date back to originally being found. The oldest dice board that we know of is from, well, depending on what sources you look at, it's either the ancient Arabian Peninsula or like ancient China. It depends on what sources you look at. So that's where they date back to, but they were always used in open practice. So everybody is welcome to be super, super creative with these boards. And I love these, and I hope that you have so much fun creating these at home. So here's a dice board. So you have to, this is my way of doing it fast. So this is just when I have to go to an outdoor festival in the middle of the woods when I'm camping and I forgot my dice board and I just need to create one really quick using a giant piece of either paper or whatever I have near me. This is how I do it quickly. But you are welcome to do it however you would like to do it. So what I do is split it into the directions. And as we know, we have north, east, south, and west. So this is going to be north, east, south, and west. And for those of you who know, north represents earth. So we have, oh my gosh, can I write with my finger? Earth. And east represents air. South represents fire. And west represents water. Okay, so now we have the basics of our board. Then you are going, what I do. Now remember, you can be as creative with this as you want. You do not have to do this anything like mine. But the reason that I'm showing you this way is just so you have an example of one way to do it. And we're going to go over many different ways. Then what I like to do is split each element into two. And also, if you've ever been to a metaphysical bookstore, I bet you have seen one of these on the shelves. If you've ever been to, one of those metaphysical stores that have all the crystals and all of the witchy books and all the things, that you've probably seen this. So the reason that I split it into two is I'm going to try and see, do I have different colors that I can use? No. You cannot use different colors. Okay, nope. All right, fine. So I'm just going to put it up here. So this side of north is going to be imbalanced. This side of north is going to be balanced. This side of air is imbalanced. This side is balanced. This side of fire is imbalanced. This side is balanced. This side of water is imbalanced, and this side of water is balanced. So can everybody see that really well and they know what I mean? So we have north is at the top with earth. One side of it is imbalanced, one side of it is balanced. Same with air, fire, and water. Okay. So I'm going to describe to you what this means. And then one more thing that you can add. I don't always add this. It depends on your practice, your path, and the way that you practice witchcraft. But a lot of people enjoy adding, of course, the circle in the middle for the goddess, or for spirit, or for the fae, for the dragons, for the elves, for all of whatever it is and whatever entities that you believe in. The center is left for that. And that one does not have a balanced or imbalanced. That one, the goddess is never balanced or imbalanced. She is whatever she is. And that is what she means to be. I am somebody who is a little bit more of an atheistic pagan. I do not have a god or goddess that I follow, but I do believe in the dragons, and I do believe in the fae, and I do believe in the jinn. And so I leave my circle in the middle for them. So here is how this board works. So with your piece of paper that you have now drawn this on, or anything in the world that has this on there. So you can create any artistic design with any pictures, any colors, any shapes, any designs that have earth, air, fire, and water on them, and balanced and imbalanced. That's it. Those are the only requirements for the board. And you can design it however you would like. So you're going to roll your dice on this board. If, let's say, you get a 4, and your 4 lands right here in the imbalanced part of Earth, that means that you have a 4 of Earth that is imbalanced or upside down, however you would like to interpret that. I used balanced and imbalanced instead of right side up and upside down. I think that makes more sense because in my eyes, sometimes when people see upside down, they think it automatically means bad and right side up means good. That is untrue. That is not necessarily the case. But so if you were to roll a dice and you roll it and get a 4 and it lands in the imbalanced part of Earth, then you would read that as an upside down 4 of Earth. So we are going to pull up, and I am going to put it in the chat. Let's see if I can. Okay, we're going to take away the board for a second. Pull this up. Can everybody still see my screen?
I can see your board.
Oh, you can still see the board. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So Divination Academy.com. So if we go to the Divination website, I have the website pulled up right now. I'll share my screen in just a second. We have okay, let me go back to Zoom real quick and share my screen. Hopefully, if I exit the whiteboard, oh good, it'll still be there. Okay. Okay, and then we're gonna share screen. Okay. Okay, can everybody see my screen now? And does it show the elements?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna zoom in a little bit so everybody can see. Here we go. So if you get, let me actually share this link so everybody can follow along. Okay, so here's the link in the chat so everybody can follow along. This is already up on the website, obviously, so you have access to this whenever you would like. Okay, so if you get a number that lands in Earth, you have to take the meaning of that number and pair it with the element. So if we continue with our example of the 4, And I didn't really mean to do this, but 4 and earth go really, really well together. I didn't mean to do that, but that's pretty cool. So 4 is, as we all know, it is stability, and it is focus and organization and feeling content and feeling stable and feeling like things have finally stopped being chaotic. It is rest and introspection and meditation, and it is time to take a break, to relax, to think, and to plan. And earth is absolutely anything in the world that you can touch. Anything. It is your money, your house, your car, your books, your family, your pets. It is the trees, the flowers, the dirt. Every single thing in this world that you can touch is represented by earth. It is also stability and healing and grounding. It is also understanding the web that connects all of us, how we are all connected due to the not only just our existence on this planet, but what we are made of, our atoms, our particles, how the energy that exists within us has always existed, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, meaning the energy that makes up our bodies has made up millions of bodies of animals, plants, trees for millions and billions of years. We are stardust. We are the particles that make up everything in the world. And that is what Earth, that is what the symbol of Earth represents. So you take stability and rest and introspection and meditation and time for planning and time for feeling the calm after and before the chaos. You take that and mix it with earth. So what that means is stability of money, stability of goals. You feel you have time to rest. You have a stable job. You have a stable house. You have a stable family. You have a stable relationship with your children. You have time to, and with your parents and with your friends. You feel as though your earthly things, the things that exist around you that you can touch, are at a point of rest, at a point of stability, at a point of introspection, where you have time to sit and plan and to rest, relax, and be content in the earthly world you have created for yourself. And so that is what happens when you pair 4 with earth. Now, let's say the dice was still a 4, but it fell into, let's say, water. If it fell into water, you would have stability of emotion. You have stability of empathy. You would feel as though your emotions are stable. You are not overly manic and excited, but you are not sad, depressed, and angry. You are content. And your emotions feel stable. Your love life is stable. Your mental health is stable. You are contemplating transformation and consciousness, but you feel content in your contemplation of emotions, empathy, and love. And so that is what happens when the dice falls into these different corners of the dice board. It changes the meaning of the number. And whether it falls in water and it's leaning more towards your empathy, love, relationships, marriage, friendships, and your emotions, or it falls in fire and it's talking more about your actions, your motivation, your passion, your drive, or it falls into air and it's talking about your wisdom, your education, your intelligence, your intellect, your creativity. So it changes the meaning of the number depending on where it falls on the dice board. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Yes.
I hear a kitty.
Yeah, I have so many kitties. Me and all my little rescue kitties. Most of my kitties were just like rescued and found in dumpsters and barns and stuff. And right now they're playing with each other. And I have 5 of them. So anyway,
They're your children. That's awesome.
they are. They're my children. So now let's talk about the other part of the dice board. So remember, our 4 not only fell in Earth, which we kind of discussed and talked about, but also it fell into the imbalanced form of Earth. So that also changes the definition of the number, where now, instead of it being overwhelming, well, not overwhelming, sorry, instead of it being stability and rest, relaxation, being content, meditation, instead, when that 4 becomes imbalanced, which we did talk about a little bit, if you go refer to your study guide, it does say at the bottom of 4, one quick sentence about what happens when 4 becomes imbalanced. And when 4 becomes imbalanced, it means you have spent too much time in the 4. And remember, when you spend too much time resting, you spend too much time not moving backwards or forwards and just being still, still water turns stagnant. If you spend too much time in contemplation, too much time doing absolutely nothing. Because remember, in the 4, we're not moving forward or backward. We are doing nothing. Now, nothing is a big word because you're not doing nothing, you're resting, and resting is a thing that needs to be done. So it's very, very important. Rest is important, introspection is important, meditation is important, but you cannot meditate for the rest of your life. You cannot sit and rest and sleep for the rest of your life. You can, but it doesn't lead to great places. And it doesn't lead to happiness. And you no longer feel that content feeling. Once you have laid on the couch and rested for 4 years, it no longer becomes rest and contemplation and something needed. It now becomes possibly depression, possibly feeling as though, you are stagnating, or you've lost motivation, you've lost excitement for life, you've lost a curiosity for knowledge, because also during the 4, you are not learning. You are learning about yourself because you have those touches of introspection and meditation, which of course still lead to knowledge and wisdom, but you can't gain all of your knowledge and wisdom from only yourself. You require more than that. That doesn't necessarily mean more people, but you do require nature. You do require walking. You do require learning and knowledge and growing as a person. You require more than just rest, even though rest is a part of growing and a part of knowledge and a part of wisdom and a part of becoming the person that you would like to be in the world. There's more than that is required. And if you spend too long in 4, it becomes imbalanced and it turns to stagnation and depression and mental health, feeling as though you might be going through a lot of things with your mental health, feeling demotivated, feeling unexcited, and losing a lot of passion and motivation and excitement for life and knowledge and growth and things like that.
It also can lead to laziness.
Yes. And I think that once again, kind of as we talked about last class, because yes, totally, you're right. It definitely can, for sure. But as we talked about last class too, putting your own bias on things when you're giving a reading can also kind of affect the reading in a negative way. So sometimes when people, let's say, have been laying on the couch for 4 years, we don't want to necessarily assume laziness or even assume that laziness is bad. We always want to stay objective and unbiased. And so, yes, even though the 4, spending too long in rest can lead to laziness, we don't want to assume or have the biased opinion that laziness is bad or that the person is lazy.
And in 4 years, they'll have to get a new couch.
And they might have to get a new couch. It's true. So yes, so that is the board. So let's go back to the board. Everybody pull up this part of the website. If you don't already have a good understanding of the elements, this helps you to understand the elements. If you want to pull up this page, there's also other pages on the website that describe the elements. I know Kelsey has some study guides up that describe the elements. This one is mine and the one I created, but feel free to use the study guides up there that Kelsey created about the elements too, to help yourself learn more about the elements, or do your own research, read your own books. I would say the only thing not to do when it comes to studying the elements is maybe just like Googling it. Not that that's a bad resource. It's not. It's just really, really hard to sift through the stuff that's very just like witches on TikTok that might, or I don't know. Because I also don't want to shame witches on TikTok. They're great. Some of them are amazing and wonderful and creating fantastic information. But it's hard to sift through what is real, actual information that is based on pagan ancient spirituality and what is kind of like new age stuff that just came out in 2022. You know, it's hard to kind of sift through that. So I would suggest going to some good authors that you trust. There are amazing authors listed in our study guide section. If you click on our bibliography, there are incredible resources. There are tons of books on everything. And so you can go there to find some great authors. But yes, or you can look through the study guides of our website, Kelsey and I, and many other professors. There are tons of professors that have put tons of information on there. The only ones that I know of for the elements are me and Kelsey, but I think there might be more than that also. A lot of professors contribute to our website. So anyway, let's go back to our board. So if we go back to our board, whiteboard, continue, existing whiteboards. Here we go. Okay, so if we go back to our board, can everybody see the board?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let's erase the 4. So now we are going to practice. Here we go. Practice a little bit with our board. Melissa, were you able to draw this out on a piece of paper?
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. Yay. Earth is your favorite element. I love that because Earth is my hardest element and the element that I struggle with the most, which is so funny because it's like honestly the one that is very easy to give readings about. You know, it's very easy to give readings about something you can touch. People typically ask you questions about their house and their relationships and their family and children and money. You get a lot of questions about Earth, but it's one that's it's hard for me in life to Earth. It's hard for me to think about money and house and just like these physical things. That's always been the element I struggle with in life. So that's super interesting that it's your favorite. I love that. So yes, so pull out the board and now we are going also if your die happens to fall in the middle, if it happens to fall in the middle, that is a whole gigantic conversation. It is not even up on the elements page. It is up in the study guide section. It gets its own section. Now, if it falls in the middle, I'm just going to give you a very, very brief understanding of that because we will talk about that in another class. That could probably take up a whole hour of our class. It all depends on what you believe. And this is the only time in a reading, the only time where you're going to purposely be subjective and biased. And the reason for that is that the middle is based on your beliefs. If you believe in God, the middle can be God. If you believe in the goddess and the goddesses, and you have many different pantheons and gods and goddesses that you worship and talk to and speak to and have altars for, that is amazing and beautiful. That is what the middle means to you. And that the middle is your gods and your goddesses that you worship and that you believe in, and that you communicate with, or that you do spiritual work with. It is also, if you are somebody who works with the fae, then the middle is the fae. If you are somebody who works with the dragons, the middle is dragons, and so on and so forth. And there's thousands and thousands of pantheons and spirits and so many things that the middle represents those entities, the demigods, the gods, the goddesses, all of those entities that you work with and worship. So if you're giving somebody else a reading and they roll the die and it falls in the middle, you are not going to base this reading off of their spiritual beliefs, because if you don't believe in the Christian God and they do, it is going to be very difficult for you to attempt to give a reading based on the Christian God. I could not. So it is going to be based on, for me, it would be based on the jinn. That is probably the largest pantheon that I work with, the largest entity that I work with. But for others, it's going to be based on many different things. So if the die falls in the middle, that's a whole conversation. It is going to be the number and the definition of the number, as well as the spiritual meaning behind the specific deity you have chosen. So if you are choosing Persephone, you are going to take the symbology and symbolism of Persephone, her teachings, everything that you have learned from her, and you are going to use that as part of your reading. And let's say a 3 falls in the middle and you are using Persephone in that moment you are working with Persephone, then you are going to take guidance from Persephone to help read that 3. And if you work with the Fae, you are going to take guidance from the Fae to help you read that 3. So that's a whole class on its own. But by the way, that is what the middle means. Okay, so let's see. I will give the first reading for this one to kind of give you guys an example. Let's do 3 dice, sorry. And I will have Melissa go first. Melissa, go ahead and roll your dice on to your board and tell me where each die falls.
I was gonna try to flip my camera, but I guess I can't. Darn it.
Oh.
So actually, I'm gonna try to do that just so you could see. Can you take this screen off so I can see if, yeah.
Yep.
So, let's see what happens if I do this. No, you don't want to see my face.
I always want to see your face.
No, you know. All right, never mind. All right, so I got a 5 on, what was B again? Okay, balanced in earth.
Okay.
I got a 7 balanced in, oh my God. Fire.
Oh.
Actually, I can't even read my shit. So like, I might just try to do it. All right. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, cool. Oh yeah, the 7 is an air. Okay.
Wait, down here, yeah.
Air.
Okay. So you can read what I wrote, but I can't. Okay, cool.
That's okay. And then we have water with a 4.
Yeah.
Yes, water with a 4. Okay. And that is imbalanced. Okay. 4 Imbalanced in water. Okay, I typed it out for myself. All right, cool. Perfect. Okay, so once again, this makes a lot of sense. I see this. Okay, so once again, we have the 5. So, and we have that in Earth. So, in your past and how that has affected your present, because that is what we are talking about with the first die. You have experienced a lot of chaos throughout your entire life, especially when it comes to feeling stable in a home or with money. I assume usually when we get the 5 of Earth, it is having, and since this is your past and you're very far past, we are going back to you being a child and going back to you being a teenager. And it is a representation of not feeling secure with money, that your parents or the people and adults that you lived with were really struggling with money, with finances, and also an unstable home, feeling as though throughout your life, including probably once you turned, 18, 19, 20, when you moved out, you were also feeling unstable when it came unstable when it came to money and house, and being able to find that security in a well-paying job, in being able to pay for education, and just always feeling very, very overwhelmed when it came to money and finances and education and a house and a job and being able to support your family in the way that you wish that you could. And 5 doesn't always mean that you weren't able to support your family. What it means is that you couldn't in the way that you wish that you could have. And the money that you wish that you could have had. And it doesn't normally, when people get a 5 of Earth, the goal is not to be extremely wealthy. The goal was to just be able to provide for you and for the people that you love and give them and yourself the best life possible. And feeling as though it's so difficult and overwhelming and chaotic to be able to do that, and that so many things were out of your control, that it wasn't because you made big mistakes or did anything horribly, horribly wrong. It was because life seemed to be against you. Normally, when we talk about a past that is affected by the 5 of Earth, it is also not being taught financial literacy from parents, not having a account that they set up for you and having money that they gave to you, or a house that they gave to you, or even a savings that they gave to you, or having knowledge that they gave to you about a 401k and about investments and about how to become wealthy. You did not gain that from your family, from your parents, because they didn't have that either. And so you end up in a cycle of, because they didn't give you that knowledge and they didn't have that knowledge, you ended up not being able to have that knowledge until you were much older and until much further into your future, which ends up setting you back. And you didn't do any of that, and none of that was your fault. And it just creates this chaotic Earth lifestyle that doesn't have a lot to do with you and your mistakes. It just has a lot to do with life and the path and the family and the life that you were given. And being next to the 7, balanced, which is wonderful, of air, being able to go from the 5 of Earth, from everything that I just described, to then going to the 7 of air, to being somebody who, despite all of that, is extremely wise, is extremely intelligent. The 7 of air is somebody who is, now you are able to break that cycle that your family ended up giving to you, and not because they did anything wrong either, but just because they also fell into the cycle of not being given the knowledge, but you gained the knowledge and you broke that cycle, and you are now able to give the knowledge of financial literacy and wisdom and education to your family and to your children, or to whoever it is, to your friends, to the people around you who need your support. You are able to give them that wisdom and that knowledge and that financial literacy because you had to do it all by yourself. And when you get the 7 of air, that is intelligence, wisdom, education, and doing it all on your own because you came from the 5 of earth and you did not come from a place of knowledge. You had to do it alone. And you ended up doing it, and you set yourself up for a good and incredible path. And you worked on not only breaking curses and family cycles when it comes to earth and money and house and finances and job and all of those things, but also it is air. So you have communication with your children and your family, whereas your family probably didn't as much. But you broke that cycle and you were able to give communication and empathy and support and education and knowledge and wisdom to your family and to your children. So you broke that cycle and you were able to set them up and give them a path that will help them to grow and become better so they can give even more to their family. And you were able to set up your ancestry and your lineage and your family to being better than the way that you grew up. And that is something really special that doesn't typically happen. And you ended up on a path that is going to lead you to a really incredible future. Because even though you do see the 4 imbalanced in your far future, which does lead to stagnation, the 4 being next to the 7, it definitely becomes deserved stagnation. That is why I said we can never be biased when it comes to laziness. That sometimes, even though it is an imbalanced 4, meaning that sometimes you might feel depressed and demotivated and unexcited, it is not due to laziness. It is due to overworking yourself. It is due to the fact that you have been so overworked, so overwhelmed. You are busy breaking all of these family cycles. You are busy dealing with all of these mental health things. You are dealing with depression and anxiety and chaos and all of these things that you have had put on top of you since you were a child. And so even though you might be a little bit imbalanced in your 4, especially when it comes to water, meaning your emotions, so you don't tend to be super, super excited and motivated to go and fall in love a million times. You are not somebody who is overly wanting to go out all the time with tons and tons of friends. You are not somebody who is overly extroverted. You are somebody who values rest and laziness. And sometimes it does turn into laying on the couch for 3 days. But that is deserved. It is because you have overworked yourself so hard for so long that rest is needed for much longer. And that stagnation is needed because you are depressed. And sometimes we need to extra rest and we need extra introspection and we need to be extra lazy because we have been so incredibly overstimulated and overworked.
Yes. And I own the depression piece. Yeah, you got it right. Kind of sad, dude.
I know it is, but you're doing so many incredible things.
Yeah. Shit is exhausting, man.
Yeah, I bet. It seems like it.
Yeah. But yeah, you got that right. And how did you choose the 5 first, or was that like, how do you read the board? From left to right, right to left?
Oh, that's a great question. I only picked the 5 first because you told me the 5 first. That was the
Oh,
only
okay.
reason. But the way that you would read it is you would roll one die at a time.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
That's okay though.
I rolled all 3.
Honestly, the order they came up in seems to be right. So, you just knew.
Yeah,
You knew.
that's true. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Of course. So, next, or yeah, let's do one more. So I'm gonna have, let's see. Since I read Melissa, yeah, let's have, I know we already did this, or no.
Can you read me, because I hadn't been read in the past at all?
Oh, that's right. I didn't read you. That's right. And I said that I would next ask. Yes. Yes, I will. Yes.
Thank
Let's
you.
roll your dice. Of course. Let's pull up the wood. Okay.
Shake them up real good there, Ella.
I will. And I'll mark on here where they fall on my board. So let's see. We rolled. Okay. Oops. There we go. The first one. Oh, that was not the pencil I wanted. There we go. We have, that's the first number. The second number. And the third number. Okay. All right. So we got the 2 in, I'm going to put it in the chat just so everybody can kind of see, because I know this is a lot. So we got the 2 in balanced air. We got then we have the 6 in balanced water. And then we got the 10 in imbalanced, oh geez, an imbalanced earth. Okay, so the 2. So we're going to start with the 2 in the past. Being in balance, or being balanced in air. So air, of course, is your intellect, your intelligence, your education, your wisdom, your creativity. And it is a 2. And so there are many times in your past where there were very, very deep and intense decisions that you had to make growing up when it came to deciphering knowledge and wisdom. There were so many things that you wanted to learn about, so much knowledge that you wanted to gain. You were probably, honestly, somebody who really enjoyed things like reading and writing and journaling, somebody who really enjoyed things like learning and knowledge and education. That doesn't always mean loving school. It can. And in this case, I have a feeling you liked school. But it doesn't always have to mean that, because education and school are not always the same thing. But being somebody who has an extreme passion for learning, and especially as a child, this can be very challenging, because a lot of times extreme intelligence and wisdom and enjoying and having a passion for learning and knowledge when we are very, very young can lead to a lot of anxiety. It can lead to a lot of depression. It can lead to a lot of questions that adults don't want to give you the answers to. And so, from what I get with the balanced two, is that you probably had a lot of people and family around you who embraced the fact that you were very intelligent and very empathetic, very creative, and had this extreme passion for learning, and you were very intelligent. But also, it was probably very hard for them to understand you. You were probably very misunderstood as a child. You were probably somebody who understood so much that you were a little bit anxious and depressed, that you were a little misunderstood by your friends and family, found it hard to have and to make amazing friends. You probably had, great friends, but also felt a little bit misunderstood with peers at school, because being somebody who is very smart is always hard. It leads to a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of mental health issues, which is a very interesting thing about our world, that intelligence can lead to sadness and isolation. And so, being somebody who was possibly a little bit more isolated and a little bit more introverted, somebody who felt misunderstood, probably led you to even more isolation and even more depression. And that doesn't always mean not being a happy kid, but it definitely means having a lot more complexity and understanding things on a much deeper level, being much more empathetic. And when we are really empathetic and we can feel the pain of others, and we can feel the pain of what's going on in the world, it leads us to being a little bit more sad and a little bit less excited and innocent when it comes to being a child. And having that lead in to the 6 of water is very interesting, because that seems to have changed drastically as you grew up. As you grew up, it seems that because six is community, and 6 is being able to accomplish incredible goals with big groups of people. And water, once again, is building on that empathy and love. And somebody who fell in very, very deep love very early. And then somebody who found community. You were probably a leader in your community. You were somebody who was always looking out for others, always helping others. You accomplished big, huge goals with big groups of people. And you used that intelligence, intellect, creativity, the love of learning and writing and reading and exploring the world and exploring people and empathizing with people. You used that to be able to help others, to be able to build a community, to be able to make incredible friends that made such an impact on your life. And you accomplished very large group goals and probably participated in a lot of activism. You probably had really strong, beautiful relationships. That doesn't mean necessarily love relationships. It can. Maybe you did have tons of love relationships, but from what I'm seeing from this, it was probably more a lot of very, very close friendships with people. You probably had a close relationship with a lot of people in your family and with your friends. Even if that's not your like the family that's related to you, but just your chosen and found family. And you made a very big impact on the world, and you still are, and that is your present. And your present right now is helping others, building relationships with others, writing, being somebody who used that creativity and that intellect and that knowledge to be a writer, to be somebody who creates art and literature, to be somebody who helps to educate and spread knowledge to so many people. And you are using that still to this day to write and to create and to help others and to spread knowledge. And that leading into the 10 in your far future. The 10 of Earth and the 10 of earth up next to the 6 is a very interesting number to get because I don't particularly like reading this number. So the 10 of earth can symbolize illness. And having the present be spreading knowledge to the world, spreading literature, being a writer, being empathetic, helping so many people, and having it end with the 10 of earth in your far future, that is being sick, having health problems, and possibly having the stuff that you're spreading in the present right now, the knowledge that you're spreading, the empathy and love and help for others that you're spreading, the spiritual growth that you're spreading, because air is also spiritual growth as well. And the books that you're writing and things like that, having that be the legacy that you leave behind, because the 10 and having health problems does kind of seem like the health problem that is going to end up leading to you not being able to do those things anymore, and having your health become a barrier to being able to create all of these beautiful things, to spread all of this amazing knowledge, to write books, to do art, to help others. And you are going to have to rely on others, and you are going to have to rely on the care and treatment of others, because you might end up being too sick to continue to spread all of the amazing knowledge and literature and books and creativity and art that you've been spreading for your entire life.
Whoa. It's interesting when you say in my past of having air. I was in school. I loved school, and I did very, very, very well in school. And with the balance in the water, um, I'm doing a lot of things right now. Of course, I'm taking courses in different aspects that I'm interested in. I'm also writing my autobiography as we speak. I don't know if you knew that, Alex, or
Oh,
not.
wow. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm starting off my life in a nursing home on a day by day basis. I was going to do it for a year, but I may not do it for a year. I'll have to see how long I do it for. But I also wanted to have a picture of the phoenix, and the book is called Phoenix Rising.
Oh, wow.
And the definition I'll have of the phoenix was a picture, and then I'm going to work from before I was born, a chapter, from when I was born till I was 10, a chapter, and 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and so on and so forth, right?
Oh,
So,
that is so cool.
yeah, like I just thought it'd be interesting. So, like, people hear about what the phoenix is, but I'm going to have a definition based on the different dictionaries that I pulled out the information. And yeah, I'm doing it now while I can, because I don't know. I my health is not the best, and I need help in daily living here in the nursing home. Not a lot, but it's there. And I'm also taking a course as a death doula, because, like you say, I'm empathetic to people. Whereas as people are transitioning into the afterlife, I could be there, and then also before that time comes, if it's possible, to plan what they need to do for when they do go. And I've got everything all planned out and ready to go for me.
Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. That's going to be such a wonderful and fulfilling thing to do for others. That is such a needed thing for others.
Yeah. I've always been the type of person to help people. If I see something going on or whatever, and this, like in the nursing home, there's sometimes things happen or whatever, and the nurses are busy doing their thing, and so it's with the PSWs, and I just yell out or I point or something, and then they can get to that person and help them out, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think that is something that, I don't know, not a lot of people feel comfortable being around someone who is going through the process of dying. And so it's something that's really needed, especially people who have tons of empathy. They're very, very needed in the world. We need more healers and more people who want to help others transition.
Yes, and it's a fairly new regulated program that I'm taking, so it's quite interesting.
Oh, well, that's so awesome. I can't wait to read your autobiography. That's going to be so cool.
Yeah, but you're going to be familiar with a lot that I've talked about in the past too. So
Oh, yay. Aw. Well, yes. So, does anybody have any questions about absolutely anything that we learned in class tonight?
I just say I'm going to need some more practice for myself.
Yes, and I think that this class, especially now that we're here, I feel like this is really the point where people can start practicing on their own in a very meaningful way. You have the board, you have the study guide, you have the website with all the elements, you have all of the resources that you need to be able to study and to give readings to friends and to family and to whoever, to yourself. And so it'll be much easier to practice now that we've gotten to this point in the class.
I had one. Is
Yeah.
there a cool little mat for like that we can obtain with that what you drew on it? Because I did a little sketch on a piece of paper that's no bigger, that's like the size of my palm. And I don't know how well that's gonna work out. I feel like it should be like, record label, not record label, but like, the size of a record almost.
Yes, there definitely is. So if you go honestly anywhere and here, let me see if I can actually pull up what you have to type in to get this, because yes, there are many
What companies would they be?
see, I'm not sure. I think that if I type in okay. Yes, here we go. Okay. So what are they labeling these as?
I just happened to
Oh,
notice that the clock says 11:11 here,
oh,
and
cool.
that's the angel number that they're watching over us.
Aw, I love that. Everybody make a wish.
Make a wish.
Awesome. So if you type in a casting mat, like I said, there are going to be thousands of different ways that people create these. And so you might want to buy a blank one. They have blank ones too that are just white that you can paint on and you can draw on. And so you can kind of create your own, or you can just find one that you like. But they are called, apparently online, they're called casting mats. They're also, yeah, divination mat. Oh, they even have dice mat too. Sweet. So that's even awesome. So, but I would type in divination mat or casting mat, and it comes up with tons and tons of things just like this. They're all
That's
different.
rad.
What?
I think that's rad.
Yes, it is. So, like one of them that I have right here in front of me, instead of like earth, air, fire, and water, they have different zodiac signs that explain each element. So you can do that. So like this one has Sagittarius, Virgo, Scorpio. Oh, sounds really cool. And Aquarius. And so that would represent like earth, air, fire, and water. But there are some that just have earth, air, fire, and water on them, like this one does. And then some of them that have it split into balanced and imbalanced, just like mine. And there are some that look just like the one I've drawn here. So yeah, it's a casting mat or a divination mat is what you would type in to like buy it online.
Awesome, thank you. Because I'm like, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, okay, this is great for like notes and like learning what it means, but this is impractical to use in like a reading.
Yeah, if you're definitely not somebody who like enjoys painting and drawing and stuff, then it's hard because same. I drew my own, but sometimes when I draw my own, it definitely looks like a 4-year-old did it. And when I bring that to professional readings, I just have to be like, look, I wanted to be creative, okay? I know it looks like a 4-year-old drew my mat, but just, you know.
That's me. I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, not with yours, but like I looked at mine. I was like, this isn't nasty. Why Robin do like?
Exactly. And then some of them even just have like the grid that I drew without any of the words, so that like you could just put in your own words, but it gives you like this gorgeous, beautiful mat with the grid already drawn on it. So you could just write or in with like paint markers and write earth, air, fire, and water, balanced and imbalanced, and so on.
Well, I understand like writing in yourself, but isn't like Earth's like primary direction north? That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're going to make and create your own mat, it does matter where the elements go. So the element of earth always has to go in the north of your mat. Now, if you want to be creative with it, obviously, and you would like to do your own research, and let's say you are somebody who works with strega magic instead of Celtic or Norse or Egyptian or the many others, most of them are going to be earth is north, east is air, south is fire, and west is water. But for example, if you're a strega witch, and strega witches come from Italy, then you would switch. What is it? I think it's east, they say, is fire for strega, and south is air. And then some of them have, east is fire because it's where the sun rises, and south is air. Yep. So some spiritualities are going to be different, and you are welcome to base it off of your own personal belief system. Oh, and by the way, yes, if you are interested in learning strega, or as Melissa wrote the full word, strega nira, you are welcome. We have tons of strega witches on our website. We already have classes on strega witchcraft. They're on the YouTube channel already. We already have tons of pages on the website. We have Professor Katana, who is in the Divination group. If you'd like to ask her any questions, Professor Katana is from Italy. Her mom was born in Italy, and she teaches about strega witchcraft. And Dorian, our herbalist teacher, is a strega witch as well.
I need to pick my Let's Watches up of the herbal class again.
I know, I love the herbology classes. Dorian and oh my gosh, and our other amazing girl that I forgot the name of. Wow, I'm so awful. But both of them are amazing. We have 2 herbology professors. They're both absolutely amazing. One is a strega witch who's also a chaos magician. He's amazing. His name is Dorian. The other one, she's incredible. She lives on this like beautiful island off the coast of Canada, and I forgot what it's called. And she has her own apothecary, and that's like what she does for a living, is forage for herbs on the island and create different potions in her apothecary.
That's amazing. I love that.
I know, me too. It's fabulous. So yeah, we already have tons and tons and tons of information on strega. If you would like to learn about it it's already all up there, and it's fabulous.
I feel like I should, because my grandfather claimed or talked about how Italian he was all the time. And so now I feel like I should.
You should. Strega is so cool. It is so fascinating. It is such a cool spirituality. But if you are somebody who has already gone deep into like Norse and Celtic and Middle Eastern and Egyptian and all of those, it is going to be a little funny to switch because Strega do things much differently. Much differently.
I feel like that's a Robin. Maybe you shouldn't. you know me very well.
No, I think that because you've been in my classes so much and it's so funny, you've memorized. When I ask questions, I can tell you have a lot of the things that I talk about in every single class, you have them memorized. And so if you were to go to Strega, your numerology would be wrong. The astrology is different. The symbology is different. The elements are different. It's all different. Even the way they cast a circle is different. Which is fabulous. But
I have been to quite a few of your classes, and I am so excited for more of them.
Aw, thank you. Me too.
Especially when I'm not supposed to say,